Good evening, everyone. Tim Harridge here for week 3, wholesaling real estate. Tonight, we're going to talk about building a buyer's list, how to use active and passive strategies to build your buyer's list. This is one of those things that I think I am very good at. It's something I have been doing since 2003. I was really one of the first people that I know of that built an email buyer's list in wholesale real estate. Starting in 2003, when I worked for HomeVestors, what I did is I got a constant contact email list, and I built a website. The URL was wholesalehouses.net. I actually still have that URL. So I've paid for it for 18 years, so it's got to be worth something, right? But what I did is I just put a web form on wholesalehouses.net. And as I would go to real estate investor groups, I would collect business cards. And that was before all the fancy technology we have now. I would take the business cards, and every time I'd get home, I would open up the web form and just type the people's name and email address into my database. This could be done with Constant Contact. This could be done with MailChimp. This could be done with Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. The point is, there are active and passive ways to build your buyer's list. And tonight we're going to talk about both. So let's get rolling. So what are we going to talk about tonight? The why, the what, and the how. First, my typical disclaimer. You should not listen to me. You should not trust me. You should simply take this as comedy and consult people that are licensed and qualified to give you tax and legal advice. Just a little refresher, assignment contracts. It's simple. You advertise that you want a house. You meet Sally. She has a house she doesn't want. You say you have money. She says she wants money. You make an offer to give Sally money in exchange for the house. Sally says yes. You email Tom or call Tom or text Tom or meet Tom online or at a RIA meeting. Tom wants a house. Tom offers to pay you money. You say, hey, I've got this house for sale. You assign the contract to Tom. On closing day, Tom goes to the title company. Tom pays money. Some of the money goes to Sally. Some of the money goes to you, but the house goes to Tom. So the net result, Sally had a house, didn't want a house, wanted money. She got money. Tom had money but wanted a house. Tom got a house. You didn't have a house or money. You got money. And that, in essence, is the way assigning contracts works. When you talk about wholesaling, it's the same process up until, well, you meet Sally. She says, I've got a house. I need some money. You say, I've got money. I need a house. You actually close and take title to the house to wholesale it. Then you put it on MLS, you mark it on your buyer's list, you do whatever it is you want to do. You get down to closing day number 2. So now you've incurred closing costs, carry costs, etc. Most likely some commissions along the way. You make more money. The end result is the same. Sally no longer has a house, but she has money. You no longer have a house, but you have money, and Tom has the house that Tom wanted. In this case, Tom is the investor. So now that we've reviewed that, we just go right back into this quick review. The pros of a contracts: don't own them. There's very, very little risk. There's very, very little capital needed other than capital for education, capital for advertising, capital for earnest money, things like that. It is quick cash. It is the quickest way to get paid in the real estate investing game. And there are very few people involved. So your management, your logistics, your overhead is very small. The cons are you don't actually own the money. You own the house, own the property. You don't control, you don't have a whole lot of control. And sometimes things can go sideways. And you may be, most likely you are, specifically in a hyper seller's market like we find ourselves in today, leaving money on the table. On wholesaling, you definitely control the property because you're taking title to it. You own it. It is a lot faster cash than fixing it up all the way. And it's very appealing to sell it to the next guy or gal to where they take on the risk of conducting the major renovation and the longer hold times. The cons, you have to own the property, so there is more risk. There's holding costs, there's vandalism, there's nature that can, storms, fires, things like that can happen. You don't have to worry about that if you have REI Choice Insurance. And just the bottom line is things can go wrong. You could sell a house, they could get an inspection, they could find out it has cast iron plumbing that needs to be replaced. All those type of things can happen. But the point is, where we're going with this, why do investors buy from a wholesaler? It's just very important that you always, always, always focus on the fact that you're providing a service. These investors they want houses, they need houses. They have made the decision to not market for themselves, but instead buy from wholesale suppliers. It's almost the same as a big department store that doesn't manufacture their own clothing. They buy from suppliers. It's the same concept when you break down the supply chain. So you have to make sure the numbers still work for them. You understand they can pay more because they didn't have to spend money to find the deal. You have to make it easy for them. Some people, that they just won't, that they care about the transformation more than they care about owning the life cycle of the property. And then, some are just passively looking to invest and put properties into a rental portfolio. So now we've covered the why. I just wanted to go back over that. Now we're going to get into the what. Now, packaging and promoting your properties is where, again, I think I'm very good at it. And I think that there's a lot of investors that are very bad at it. You'll see on social media forums or even websites, people that say, house for sale, 123 Main Street, ARV 200, asking 150, needs 10 in repairs. DM for more information, right? Like that's not a very good marketing effort. And actually, I won't say I don't, but I rarely put out properties without 100% of the information. There are some times where there may be a property that's kind of on the outskirts of my typical transaction that I'll kind of put some feelers out on social media. But oftentimes it's a house that I don't intend to contract unless I actually get it sold in advance or have a very good indication that I'm going to be able to sell it. So we're going to talk about a property overview package. So if you're familiar with the real estate world, this would be the same as saying a listing. This would be the same as saying a buyer packet. This is basically what you're going to put together in order to convey a full story about the property and the offering. It's an investment offering. You are offering this investment up to your audience, to your database. And the more work you do on analyzing and presenting the transaction, the more money you will make. Randy McFeely that works with me, he does all the acquisitions and I kind of spearhead the sales. He always says that we make more money when I go look at the house myself as well. And it's kind of funny. Yes, there are times that I think we can make $40,000 or $50,000 that I won't spend the time to drive 20 minutes to look at the house. It's a flaw of mine. But the point is what I'm trying to get across to you is you always make more money when you put a lot of thought and effort into the wholesale marketing versus just throwing a deal out there. So the POP will address many of the issues and questions that the investor will have. And you can print it out and hand it out to someone at a meeting. You can put it up on a website like Instant Equity. You can email it out. So what goes into it? You want to make sure you have a good video of the exterior and the neighborhood. When I say the neighborhood, I don't mean you got to walk up and down the street taking a video. What we're talking about is you start in front of the house with your video camera. I now use this dude. It's a 4K HD camera. And I've got a wide angle lens that I attach to it when I go inside the house. But you start out in front of the house, and you say the address, and you start talking about the house and the neighborhood. And then you'll love this. You just slowly Don't do it fast. You don't want your video to be like a roller coaster. You just slowly turn in a 360-degree circle to show the entire neighborhood, all the houses around the house, what the street looks like, and the full exterior of the home. After you do that, you hit end. Then, for me, I put on my wide angle lens, and then I just start walking towards the front door. Now, you're going to see in here that it says make comments. Sometimes the homeowner is standing there next to you and you can't make comments, right? You can't be talking about, so if you buy this for me, blank, 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 right? So you want to make, if it's a vacant house and you're touring it alone, you want to talk through the whole thing. And the longer, the better. What you find is more than half the people are going to watch for a minute and drop off because they're not interested, right? They look at the house, they look at the outside, they decide they're not interested. But then it's just amazing. Anyone that stays after a minute, minute and a half, they typically stay for 7 to 10 minutes, depending how long your video is. And it's because you've already got them with enough catchphrases. You've already got them with enough information. You've already got them with the exterior view to where they're interested. So then I walk towards the front door with the video camera with a wide angle lens. I think these new iPhones, the 11s and 12s have a wide angle lens built in. I'm still using an 11, but I'm getting ready to upgrade. And you just start at the house and start one direction. So either when you get inside the house, either start to the right or start to the left. And the thing is, when you're videotaping the house, you got to remember, if you're walking around going like this, I mean, you're basically recording a roller coaster ride and people aren't going to be able to watch it, right? So you want to slowly walk, balance the camera with two hands. And when you enter a room, you simply pan left to right, go over towards the top of the room, slowly go back over, go back down to the bottom of the room, slowly go back over. And then what I like to do is walk to the far corner of the room, slowly turn around, make sure I catch kind of the rest of the room, if you will. Like, so a lot of times you'll walk in a door and there's a closet over here. And so you'll want to walk across to the corner, pan around to show where the closet is, and then pan back to the front to the bedroom door. And then you're done. And at that point, you just walk out the bedroom door. And again, where a lot of investors mess up is they get into the hall and they start turning corners really fast, right? And that will make a good video very bad. So the whole point of a video is take your time. You want to talk throughout the video camera. I mean, throughout the video. If you can't talk because the owners are there, what you're going to want to do is either put a lot of text in the video comments, like on YouTube, or if you're technologically savvy enough, you can actually record a voiceover on YouTube by hitting edit and then go to the audio. I use a software on my computer called Adobe Premiere Pro, where I can simply record a voiceover. And then you don't just want video. You need to take pictures. And while you're at the property, take as many pictures as you can. You're looking to show the central heat and air. You're looking inside and outside units. You want pictures inside the attic to show that the roof doesn't have a shakes shingle or anything funky up there. You want pictures of the water heater, pictures of the kitchens, the bathrooms, any material defects, pictures of the electrical service panel, pictures of the inside and outside of any of the mechanical systems, pictures of where the electricity comes into the house, picture of where the gas comes into the house. The more pictures, the better, because what we're going to talk about here in a minute is you're just going to put them all into a Google Drive and you're going to send them out. You can even, you can upload pictures and make them into a slideshow if you can't take a good video, but I say take a video, then take pictures, and that will tell the story enough. And a lot of times what will happen is when you're going through the marketing, you'll want to flip through the pictures in the video yourself to make sure that you're covering all your points. The next is contract terms and conditions. So sometimes you'll get a house under contract that may have to be sold in the next 2 weeks. You really want to be clear about that, because sometimes maybe you have a newer buyer or someone that needs to get a bank loan or a hard money loan or an appraisal. And you want to just be clear about, I can only get you in today, right? That's the only time you get in, or we can't be inspecting the property every other day. Property must close before November 1st. Property must, it's as is, where is, no inspections, no repairs, no commissions. That's really key, because a lot of times real estate agents will hit you up. But you just want to really cover all the terms of the contract, closing dates, who's putting up the deposit, where the deposits go, where the earnest money goes. And we're going to talk about some of this in a little bit in my tips and tricks. But for now, you want to convey in writing all the contract terms and conditions. Offer type. So we're not going to cover subject to, but you can wholesale a subject to transaction. I know a lot of investors that have done it. I personally have only done one subject to in 20 years of business. It's just not my cup of tea. I wouldn't say I'm not good at it. It's not what I'm focused on. But you just got to be clear, right? Hard money, yes or no. Bank, yes or no. Conventional, yes or no. Subject to, yes or no. FHA financing, yes or no. I'll tell you, for most of these investment transactions, you're looking at all cash or bank or hard money financing. And you're typically going to tell them they got to close in a week to 10 days, and make sure you don't take any conventional loans. Excuse me. If you're marketing the property subject to, you want to really do a little bit of research with your county database on any outstanding liens, the mortgage balance. You always include the annual property taxes in there. It just makes it easier for the investor to do their job if they're looking at analyzing it as a rental property. Monthly debts, mortgages, HOAs, so mortgages and HOAs. Mortgages, if it's a subject to, because if it's not a subject to, obviously they're going to have to pay cash, and they're going to have a new debt against it, or have no debt against it. So in that case, like the mortgage that's there, it doesn't matter. But HOAs always matter, specifically if it's a rental property, because that's going to impact their net cash flow. And if you always want to get the HOA information from the seller, and if you can't really get it from the seller, say it's an estate and they're not sure, you want to start looking at other sold and active properties in that neighborhood, because typically the real estate agents will list what the HOA information is in the subject properties that you're looking at, or not the subject properties, the comparable properties you're looking at. It's not enough just to state an after repaired value. You need to prove it. You need to provide comps. And I'm not saying that you're doing their job for them. I'm not saying that you're telling them not to run comps, but what we're doing here is we're proving up our point, right? This whole thing, wholesale marketing, your pop, is telling a story, right? You're the expert. You're the one that has seen the property. You're the one that has developed this pro forma, right? So you've got to be able to speak to it. In this case, one of the things I always do is when someone calls me about a house, I say, what's it worth? What's it need? What can I get it for? Right? So as the wholesaler, you need to determine what it's worth, and not just what it's worth as in, oh, it has an ARV of 200, but you need to say why. You need to say, there's some houses literally that may only be worth $150,000, but they rent for $1,800. So you may talk a little bit about the ARV, but then you may say the highest and best use for this asset is as a rental property. I believe that because there are 3 recent rental comps within a quarter mile in the same year built category in the same subdivision that put it at $1,800 a month rent, which is well over a 12% gross yield of full price. So it makes the highest and best use of that property a rental property. You may after looking at comps, find a lot of owner financing comps, and the only true sold comps using cash or conventional mortgages in the area, maybe as is. It doesn't really happen as much nowadays. I mean, we had a lot of that in 08 and 09, but there are still some neighborhoods where you start finding these owner finance comps that are 140, 150, 180. And then, the only other comps that you're seeing that aren't owner finance are 80 to 100. And you want to kind of point that out. You want to make that crystal clear, because that's where you're going to derive your price, right? We talked last week about narrowing down people's price bands and running the numbers as if you're going to buy the house, and understanding where the investors get their money. And we're going to back into the numbers even more here in a future class. But excuse me, it's just very important that you provide the sold and leased comps for sure that you utilized to reach your conclusion. Estimated repair cost, please don't put anything out below $10 a foot. Unless you are selling a brand new house that's finished. In my career, there have been very few homes that I could complete and attain the highest and best use for less than $10,000, less than 7 to 8, really. So just be careful tainting your list. Be careful putting out a property that an experienced investor who could be your best buyer immediately discounts it, immediately thinks, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This gal doesn't know what she's doing. You got to avoid that. You're going to include the numbers, bedrooms, bathrooms, year built, overall condition, square footage. If there is a garage, include the garage. If there's not a garage, and tell there's a carport. If there's no garage or carport, annotate that. If there's a garage that was converted, that when you look at the comps, all of your comps, so the typical 2-car garage in America is between 400 and 600 square feet. So if you've got this house that's got a converted garage, and say it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with no garage, no carport, and now it's 1,800 square feet. And then all your comps are 1,400 square feet, and they're all 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage houses. So what you have there is you have kind of the exact same house, but yours has a conversion and your comps don't. So what you got to be careful of is, unless you have an apples to apples comparison, unless you have other houses, in a lot of neighborhoods it is this way, where more than half the houses have been converted, unless you're comparing to houses that are converted, you cannot use the full dollar per square foot, right? If that 1,400 square foot house sold for $100 a foot for $140,000, you're not going to get $100 a foot on your 1,800 square feet. That house is not worth 180. The general rule of thumb is you can only count about a third of the square footage towards the total. I mean, of the additional square footage towards the total. So that would be a third of 400. So let's just call it 130. And in that case, that's 13,000, right? And that's 13,000 against, and so that would put the house at like 153. But then still, you got to be careful, because if there are no other conversions in the area, it may be an area that doesn't accept conversions on the retail market. Typically what I'll do in those type of home neighborhoods is I will factor in the value of the home as if it doesn't have that extra 400 square feet. And I'll tell the investor that my plan, if I remodel it, would be to unconvert the garage. And that's really my plan if the garage has been poorly converted or was not what I call permanently converted. Now, some garages, they've bricked the front, they've raised the floor, they've really, it's a quality conversion and you don't want to undo it. Some garages, they build a wood wall and put flooring in and punch an AC up through a wall. I almost always plan to unconvert those. And the funny thing is your buyer may say, no, I'm going to turn it into a fourth bedroom because I want to keep it as a rental property. And that's one of those things you got to look at, because if there's rental properties in that same house, remember I said it was worth 140,000 if you unconvert the garage. This could be the scenario where if you turn that into a fourth bedroom, then the rents may be 1,500. And if that's the case, now maybe the highest and best use of that property is as a rental property. And maybe the highest and best use of that property is to not unconvert and instead make sure there's a closet and a wall in that converted garage to where it can become a 4 bedroom. But the comps don't lie, and neither does the market. So what you want to do is you want to look at the market and look at the comps and make sure that you are basing your decision, basing your marketing off of what the comps say has happened in the last 4 to 6 months. And it's really hard to go wrong if you're basing your decisions off of what has happened recently on the public market in that neighborhood with comparable properties. That's enough of that. But the last thing I'm going to say is on the property description and on this property overview, use your words. Some people will say that they're not a good marketer. They don't know how to describe it. I don't believe that. You can walk into anyone's home and describe it. So use your words. Tell a story about the house. Wonderful one owner home in need of tender love and care. Original floors, just do your best to describe the property. Effort is better than nothing. And too many times wholesalers will simply stick to the facts and not provide any opinion, and you get less value that way. Tell people what you would do. Tell people what you're thinking. Tell people I've got a lot that I'm trying to wholesale right now that is just a very narrow lot. I mean, this thing is narrow. It's only 50 feet wide. Well, it's hard to sell. And I just straight up owned it. I was like, this is a narrow house, probably have to build a 2-story house. And it's not selling, but we've got it priced a little high. We'll probably have to come down on it. But the point is, use your words, express everything you know about the property, and give your opinion. Investors will value your opinion. Video is where it's at. When I take the time to put together a quality video and a quality marketing description, the houses sell faster and I make more money. When I mail it in and just put a picture or two on there, I have been guilty before of just getting the Google Streets picture off the internet and just slapping that up there and saying, yep, here's a house, 322 brick, Lake Highlands, come get it. You'll sell the house, but you won't get as much money because what you're doing is supply and demand, right? So what you're doing is you're making it where only an experienced buyer can buy that house. Only someone that can do all of the work themselves. Only someone that has the time to drive over there to decide if they're interested. So with that said, you just have to, you have to understand, typically experienced buyers will pay a little less. Typically passive buyers or less experienced buyers will pay more, but you got to do more work for them, right? So either way you're going to pay, right? You're either going to not make as much money because you don't do as much work, or you're going to do more work and make more money. Or maybe you don't make more money. Maybe if you don't do enough work, you just don't sell the house, which can happen. Whereas if you did all the work, you'll sell the house. And that's another thing. The old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, is very true in marketing real estate. My wife talks about it all the time on her retail listings. A house can become tainted, right? If you put a house out and you're asking too much for it, it's poorly presented. There's no pictures, there's no description, there's no information. It's tainted. And then if you go back and add it and reduce it, add more information, add better marketing, and then reduce it and send it back out, the ideology of the buyer is, well, there must be something wrong with that house. Otherwise, someone would have bought it. It can't be that good of a deal. And the same thing goes with retail real estate. That's why a lot of times when my wife takes on customers that have already been trying to market it with another agent, she says, well, all right, we got to leave it off the market for 30 days so we can reset the days in the market, because the general perception from buyers on both sides of the fence, retail and wholesale, is simply, why hasn't someone else bought it? Must be something wrong with it. Or, ooh, they lowered the house. They must be desperate. Let's make a low offer. So you want to avoid both of those situations. And you can do so simply by doing the work the first time before you put it out. We're going to talk about the email stuff in a minute, but you put this thing together, you send out a nice, good, detailed email, and you include, so I'm recommending MailChimp, and I'll show you in a minute. And you just start building your list. You go on Facebook and you post, got a deal coming up in Garland and Richardson ISD, drop your email below. Or you go to the Facebook groups and you search and you say, well, I might as well show you now. All right, so you hop over in here to Facebook, and let's just go to my Facebook group, REI Masterminds. Well, you can pop over here to the search button and just type in the word email. When you search email, you'll start seeing every post that says the word email. There's you a buyer's email, Stephen Glasgow. There's you an email for Dominic Jones. I don't let a lot of people do. There's you an email for someone looking, you see all these emails, and that's, there's another email. You can look at, I bet this with 20, drop your email below. So you open up this post, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth, right? You can hop over here into more groups. Let's see, find one of these really active ones. Some of these groups, I can't, but they just let people go like this. So this group has 19,000. It's Jawad's group. So now if I type in email there, an hour ago, drop your email below, right? Drop your email below, and you can go through with a little bit of work, and you can find, it's pretty easy, but that's an active way to build your list. And so like this is Wichita Falls, right? So if you're not looking for buyers in Wichita Falls, maybe you don't scrape that list. Kingsville, Texas, maybe not. There's a buyer that buys uninsurable title deals. And I mean, here you got October. This is October 25th. And here's all these emails, right? And that, I mean, that counts as consent. These people are giving up their email saying, add me to your buyers list. Yeah. So that's a really easy way to start building a buyers list. And I'll tell you, on Facebook, a lot of these people are real. I mean, here, this one has 60 comments in August. I bet you this, I mean, there you go. There's a bunch of emails. So, I mean, that's one way. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and do this now. I'm gonna segue while we're on this email list. So, go over to MailChimp. I'm gonna log in. Now, remember, I've been building my list for a long time. So, 17 years. So there's 46,000 contacts on my list, but only 30,000 of them still get my emails. It's hard bounces, people that have unsubscribed, which is cool with me. I love unsubscribes. Some people are like, oh, you're losing your list. Man, I'm cool with it. So, I mean, that's my list. Just in the last month, I've had 52 unsubscribed. And that's okay with me. I don't mind. You know, and I mean, 21% of the people engage often, and 20% engage sometimes, and 55% engage rarely. A lot of the times emails will go into spam filters. So this, right, in the last month, I've had 6 new subscribers, and one's already unsubscribed. You know, that's again, it's okay with me. But you notice this is a smaller list and it has better engagement. And then you come over here to an even smaller list, right? It's grown by almost 10%. And look at the engagement down here, right? It's still rarely. So, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason. REI Choice, these are the active portal users. I don't send many emails with REI Choice. So, you know, it's still, I mean, it's decent numbers, 47, 54%, or sometimes to often. So yeah, so that's my MailChimp, but we don't want to get into my MailChimp because it's pretty advanced. So let's create an account. I'll create one for Tim at DFW Investors. And it will be October 27. There you go. Oh, man. Okay, so now I got to hop over, check my email. So MailChimp is free up to 2,000 contacts. And I'm doing this right now just to, I want to show y'all something. So let me activate my account. That's it. I'm not a robot. I like MailChimp. I like their the wording they have. So I'm on the free plan, just the basics. $0 a month, up to 2,000 contacts. Once you get beyond 2,000 contacts, then you can worry about the rest, okay? So there's my information. One of my websites. No, don't call me. Put my home address in there. I'm going to say no on the contacts for not right now. You could hit yes and upload a spreadsheet. I'm going to say no for right now because what I want to show you is what do you offer, right? Services. website. I recommend you subscribe to all of these because it's good marketing information and knowledge. Not going to connect your store, not going to do any of this stuff. I'm going to take you down here. I really want you to get in here and play with it. But what we want to do is go over here to audience, right? We got one contact and one of them is a subscriber. Guess who it is? Me. But when you go over here into audience, manage audience, sign up forms. So what you could do here, right? You hop over into here. Now, if you get an OnCarat account or something like that, you can actually integrate these forms directly in. You can design right here a landing page sign up form, but we're not going to do that right now. That I think they make you upgrade for that. We're just going to go over here to the form builder, select, and so this form builder, you're going to get this URL right here. And so name, email, first name, last name, don't make too much required. Okay. Email address is required. First name required. The rest, I mean, leave it unrequired because again, we talked about some people want to communicate their own way. If they want to give you their mailing address, awesome. If they want it, you can unhide the phone number field. I mean, you can put the address field as visible, if you'd like. And then you can go over here to add a field, right? So let's say that we want checkboxes. Okay. Now, where do you buy? Group name 1, Dallas County. This is the way I would do it if I was starting out brand new. Tarrant County. Rockwall County. All right, so anywhere, and then maybe other, right? And now in this case, they're not going to be able to fill. We're not going to get into an advanced form. I'm going to move on. The bottom line is now you got this hosted form. Let's say you don't care about the birthday. Let's just delete that thing. We don't want that. That's gone. You know what? I don't even want to ask them for their mailing address. I think that maybe they'll feel like I'm asking for too much information. So that's gone. Up here, we want to say, thanks for joining my buyers list. I will not spam you. All right, something like that. So now you've got this. It's just a simple form. It's free, doesn't take a lot to do. And now what you can do, there's all these other forms you can do, but right now I'm just going to show you the subscribe form. MailChimp is super easy, but now you got this URL, right? So you can go, if you're fancy and you want to spend time designing things, that's great. But the bottom line is now you've got this URL. So if you give that out to someone, they can join your email list, right? So, or if you're not a lazy person, you can simply, well, a lot of times I'll do this. You can use this form as a way to enter people into your buyers list, right? So if you talk to Tim Harridge, right, and you want to add him to your buyers list, well, you're going to say, okay, Tim really just buys in Dallas County, Rockwall County, and well, Collin County didn't make the list. No, and Tim buys in San Antonio too, right? So those are like the areas I really like to buy in. You can put other, but I wouldn't do that right now. And then you hit subscribe. So when you do that, yep, I'm a human. Yep, bicycle. I don't see any other bicycles. I'm going to reload that image. Boats. There's boat. There you go. So now Tim Harridge is on Tim Harridge's list. And it's that easy. So go out, create that. Now we'll get back to building your list. And, you know, have at it, be active. But then once you have that form up, right, you can post it on social media. You can create a Facebook account and post, I'm wholesaling real estate, join my buyers list. You can go into these Facebook forums and post that link and say, please join my buyers list. I have deals coming up in X county, in X place. You can go on LinkedIn and join LinkedIn groups, Dallas Fort Worth Real Estate, and you can make posts there. The point is, if you get that form out within, I don't know if any of you have looked at On Carrot yet or not, but if you join On Carrot, you know, and they have a squeeze page where you can actually market it. I wouldn't spend any money looking for buyers, and don't buy a list. Don't buy a list. Don't buy a list. Okay. I had former employees of mine take my list, sell my list. It causes a lot of problems for everybody, and it's just not respected. So do not go buy a list. You should have already set up a Google Drive. And, you know, on this email, you just want to be really clear about what you're offering. Oh, I will show you that. I closed MailChimp. Because in here it says, bullet number 1 said, an email provider that has templates, right? So I can go over here. I go to campaigns. It's really simple. Don't pick a complicated campaign. Go to create campaign, email, regular, first deal. There you go. We're going to send it to everybody. both Tims on this one. You add a from Tim. You add a subject. My first deal. And the preview, you know, that's what kind of shows up on your phone underneath the header whenever you see it on your phone. So check out this Dallas deal, right? You want to do something that's going to get their attention. And then design email. That's what I'm trying to get to, templates. Something, maybe a single, maybe the column email. I try to stay away from full width. I like the one column. You know, I'll tell you this, if you don't have a logo, it's cool. You can use their design tutorials, but you see, I mean, it's got its template, fill it out. It'll all kind of work out for you. So get yourself a YouTube channel, get yourself a Google Drive channel. I mean, those are free. MailChimp is free. All of these are free, right? And that's another piece of advice. Hashtag Hashtags are an amazing thing. A lot of people don't actually know what hashtags are used for. So Instagram is one of those places that the millennial home buyers are everywhere. And so what we want to do is, let's say hashtag Dallas real estate, right? Help if I spelled it properly, right? All right, so there's 250,000 posts on Dallas real estate. And almost all of them are simply good looking real estate agents. So maybe not that. Dallas real estate. There you go, investing. Dallas real estate investor. Okay, so these are people that want to be known as Dallas real estate investors. So one of the things I can do is I can like this, right? And it'll get them to a lot of times like you back and follow you. Or, this guy says he's closing on 2 properties. So you could say, need another, right? You could just comment down there. You can't put links in Instagram comments, but you can, but they won't populate too. You can just go through and like these. I don't know these people, but they're using the hashtag Dallas real estate investor, which I am. So maybe I should follow that, right? But anyway, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're all free. They're great ways to get your information out there. You can post your sign up form. And I'm telling you, it seems slow, if you will. Let's see. So there's Desert Dallas Real Estate Investments. Oh, here it is. Dallas Fort Worth Real Estate Investments. It's a LinkedIn group. I'm not a member. I could hit request to join. Once you join, it's welcome anyone that's currently purchasing investment properties doing industry related work in Dallas. Sounds great, right? You can go in there, you can post and share your sign up form. So that's enough. I'm beleaguering that point. We're going to move on. Now, other ways you can find your in buyers. Business cards are still a thing. I know that we don't really see them very often now since we're not allowed to meet people in person, but business cards are still a thing. You can run online ads, right? You can put an ad on Craigslist. You can put an ad, you can Google We Buy Houses, Dallas, Garland, San Antonio, Fort Worth, wherever it is you have, New York, wherever you have the house, and call the people that are running online ads in that area. Because, obviously that's someone that's looking to put a house under contract. You can go to real estate investment groups or clubs. Look, there's one meeting tonight in Dallas. So I don't think we're going to be stuck in our houses forever, but if not, find their online forums, find their events listed on meetup.com, biggerpockets.com, Facebook, Instant Equity, attend courthouse auctions. So second Tuesday every month in Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry, first Tuesday of the month, Dallas, Texas. There is an auction, foreclosure auction. Rain, sleet, snow, doesn't matter. They have the auction. Actually, they did cancel it for COVID, but COVID. Anyway, the point is those people, in order to bid on a house at the auction in Texas, you have to have cashier's checks. So you're literally talking about people with hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash that want to buy houses. Wait till the auction's over, and the ones that are leaving that did not get a house that day, they've got all these cashier checks. They want to buy houses. Get their name and information, add them to your buyers list. The point is, if I was starting out, I would rather have 100 active investors to have a conversation with than 1,000 names on a list somewhere. Um, it's just follow some of these steps. Even if you only follow half of them, you'll build a significant buyers list in your backyard that will allow you to move a transaction when you get it, or at least to get feedback, right? Um, when you do find the buyer, you're going to paper up an assignment and you're going to get a non-refundable down payment. So you got to make sure title's clear and everything's moving forward. Once you've negotiated a price, you're going to assign the contract. I need to post, I'll post a link to where you can download my assignment on the notes from this week. And you've disclosed all the details of the property and the transaction. Now it's time to sign the assignment. You'll get a non-refundable option fee. The option fee it goes to you personally. If I get $5,000, I used to get 1,000. I got 3,000. Don't collect more than you're making, right? So if you're assigning a house for $40,000 and you're only making a $2,000 assignment, don't get a $5,000 option fee, because then you're going to have to bring money to closing. Don't get more money than you always have in your bank account. So if you're starting out, you're fairly new, and say you have $3,000 in your bank account most of the time, and don't get a $5,000 option check, because you're probably going to spend it. And sometimes these deals fall through. Just 2 weeks ago, we had someone call all emotional. They had sold their house. Their dad, the husband, had died, and they changed their mind. We'd already sold the house. I'd already collected $5,000. And we recorded our contract. So that means if they do try to sell, they're going to have to talk to us. But I had to send the $5,000 back. I still had it. Some wholesalers may not have that money in their bank at all times. So don't collect more than you normally have. Either lower the deposit amount or have it paid to the title company. That way you get your money when the deal's done. That's all I'm going to say about that. So what you need to do right now, go create a MailChimp account, create a Craigslist account, make sure you have a Google Drive account, go to instantequity.com and create your account, go to YouTube and create an account. All of these things are free. You need to make sure you have a digital camera that records video, or a video camera that will also take pictures. That's the cool thing about my video camera. Here on the back, there's a little, or on top, there's a little photo button, right? So a lot of times when I'm walking through and I see something that I normally take a picture of, I just hit the little photo button and it snaps a picture. But if you don't have one of those, get a smartphone, because even on the iPhone, when you're recording a video, there's this little round white thing. If you hit it, it takes a picture. So if you have a recent smartphone, this is an iPhone 11 or 10X. I'm about to get an 11 or a 12. That'll do. Manila folders, I still like to print and have things in, so when I go to a house to sell them the house, like an assignment, I take a folder with me with the printed out contract and a printed out assignment, because they're going to hand me a $5,000 check and we're going to sign everything on the spot. Then I use the Adobe scan function on my phone to scan the docs in, and I let them have the originals, and I take the scan copies, send them to the title company, and I take the money to the bank. You can go to OnCarrot and you can get the buyer squeeze page, which is just the lead capture page if you don't want to set it all up on MailChimp. You can get business cards, Vistaprint. There's a ton of places. Just Google free business cards. A lot of times you can get 250 free cards with your first order. If you're one of those people that really wants a logo, go to 99designs.com. It's like, I think it's $100 and you get like all the logos you want. or you can go to fiverr.com. That's Fiverr. And you can create a post. You can find people that'll do logos for $5-10. You don't have to have a logo. I'll post a picture of Jennifer's business card. There's no logo. It's just cursive writing, Jennifer Heritage, Dallas, San Antonio. It's a really cool business card. Pocket notebook just to keep yourself organized. You got to keep blank forms with you, right? I mean, if you're going to go out and you're going to be trying to write contracts on houses and put flyers out, and have assignments and blank contracts, you need to be organized. Make sure you got a Facebook account. You don't have to create a page. So a Facebook page is a business page. So you have your personal account like Tim Heritage, and then like I've got Tim Heritage Entrepreneur and DFW Investors, and then Instant Equity, Best Home Buyers, REI Choice. Like I have all these pages that are like an entity. They act on their own. If you feel comfortable with it, list on LinkedIn that you're a real estate investor. You can create a LinkedIn company. Get yourself a meetup account, look for local meetings. Like you got to start building a buyers list now, because if you're going to be successful in this, you got to have a list of people to market to. So, go to meetup.com and find a meeting in your area. A lot of them are still marketing meetups, even though they're online and virtual. And some of them have like cool little networking functions, but start building your buyers list in your area, in the area you plan to wholesale houses, like now. Legit. I love the $50 a week that you're paying me. But if you're not going to take a minute in the next 7 days to do these things, just hit cancel. Just shoot me a note. Say, hey, dude, I don't have time for this, right? Because I don't want you to waste your money. But if you're just, if you just want information and you want to learn and you don't want to do, I guess you can keep paying the $50. But anyway, that's kind of rude, but it is. Yeah. And you got to have a good smartphone. I was with one of my in-person students last week. We were on our way to take pictures of this lot that we're having trouble selling now. And it was kind of funny. He's like, man, dude, you know more about technology than I do. I was like, yeah, because I'm always on the go, right? I don't use Google Drive anymore. Well, I do, but not mainly. Mainly I use OneDrive because OneDrive connects to my Office 365 account, and that's for my PowerPoint and email, right? But technology can be a very good tool in this business. So do all of this, and I won't say do it now. I almost acted like a sergeant there. So that's that. It's past 7. I'm running a little behind. I kind of covered a lot of information there. I'll take some quick questions. Otherwise, I've got to go eat dinner. In case you didn't in case you didn't read the email, I sent out week 2 notes today, and I updated the Wholesale Resource Center.